My heart nearly stopped when Veronica pulled a handgun from her designer purse and leveled it at my chest. For a second, I remember thinking, I'm just a rancher about to be erased. You'll never own this land, she hissed. Your family's story ends today. She laughed, mocking, hello? But something inside me shifted. I took a breath. My hands stopped shaking, and I looked her dead in the eye. You're standing on Granger land, I told her. This ranch stood through wars, recessions, and a hell of a lot worse than you. My family's name is carved into this dirt. She didn't get it. Veronica saw me as some naive country bumpkin with a dusty pickup and too much pride. While she was busy filing bogus HOA violations and cozying up to crooked officials, I was working on something else, something she never saw coming. Because people like her always underestimate people like me. 8 months earlier, I was still writing software for a startup in Denver. Content with urban life and a fridge full of takeout containers. But when my parents died in a car accident, everything changed. They left me Granger Ranch, 150 acres of land nestled in the foothills of northern Colorado. It had been in our family since 1870. I packed up my life and moved home. It was supposed to be temporary. Fix the place up. Sell it, maybe. But standing on that porch, breathing the cool mountain air, hearing the creak of the barn doors and the lowing of the cattle, it felt like home. I knew tech. Not tractors. But thankfully, Hank, our longtime ranch foreman, had worked the land for 40 years. He taught me the ropes and kept me from blowing up the irrigation system twice in the first week. Then there was Julie Monroe, my neighbor. A 40-something widow with 2 kids and a work ethic that made me feel lazy. She dropped by with homemade chili and better advice than any manual could offer. Slowly, I found my rhythm. And then, Veronica showed up. It was a Thursday afternoon when a shiny black Mercedes SUV crunched up my gravel driveway. Dust clung to it like an insult. The door opened, and out stepped a woman in cream slacks, gold flats, and sunglasses so large they looked like armor. Her platinum hair was cut into that unmistakable, let me speak to the manager, shape. I'm Veronica Halston, she said, flashing a stiff smile. President of the Silvergate Bluffs HOA. I'd heard about Silvergate, a new luxury subdivision built half a mile from the south border of my land. We've received several complaints, she continued, already scowling toward my livestock pens. The smells are interfering with our residents' quality of life. I blinked. Ma'am, I replied, this is a working ranch. It smells like cattle because there are cattle. And I'm not under your HOA. Her face soured. We have ways of dealing with uncooperative neighbors. She turned to leave, then glanced back. And trim that grass. It's an eyesore. The first violation notice came in the mail a week later. Then another. Then 5 more. Unapproved structures, my barn. Unauthorized business activity, ranching. Excessive noise, my roosters. Each one demanded escalating fines. The final letter threatened legal action. I called Nate, my college roommate turned real estate attorney. This is harassment, he said after reading the notices. They have no jurisdiction over your land. Then he paused. But Veronica's husband, Dale Halston, he's a big name in development. Very connected. Watch your back. I started digging, and what I found made my stomach turn. The Halston Development Group had filed permits for something called Silvergate Ridge, a massive luxury resort that wrapped around Granger Ranch on 3 sides. They didn't hate my cows. They wanted my land. Things escalated fast. My irrigation was mysteriously shut off for 3 days. Photos were taken of my property by people claiming to be from the county. Someone left the south gate open, and half my herd ended up in the road. Julie had to help wrangle them back. This isn't just greed, she warned. It's war. They tried the same with me after my husband died. I sold them 5 acres just to get them off my back. Meanwhile, Nate discovered that Mayor Tim Reynolds had quietly approved a new public access easement that cut right through my pasture. I hadn't been notified. They're trying to tank your property value. Nate explained, then swoop in with a lowball offer. That same night, I got a call from a blocked number. You should sell while you can, a voice growled. It'd be a shame if something happened. I decided I wasn't going to be bullied. At the next city council meeting, I stood at the podium and told the room exactly what was happening, backed by documents, photos, and maps. I called out the collusion, the threats, and the abuse of power. Mayor Reynolds tried to shut me down mid-speech, until someone shouted from the back, "Let him speak." Everyone turned. It was Colonel Frank Granger, my great-uncle and a retired Marine, a local legend. With his silent presence behind me, I finished my statement. Afterward, Councilwoman Leah Kim pulled me aside and said, "You've got guts. And maybe a case." A reporter named Tara Flynn ran the story in the Rockridge County Chronicle the next day. It went viral. The headline? Rancher versus Empire, How a Family Farm Became Target of HOA Tyranny. The floodgates opened. Dozens of Silvergate residents contacted me, sharing their own horror stories. One woman had been fined $1,200 for planting daisies instead of HOA-approved petunias. And then, a surprise ally came forward. "I'm Eli Halston," the young man said as he stepped out of a beat-up Honda at a diner 2 towns over. "Veronica and Dale's son. I don't agree with what they're doing," he said quietly. "They've done this before. Buy land cheap. Squeeze owners. Build. Flip. Move on." He slid a USB drive across the table. "Emails. Financial records. And a map. There's something else. Your grandfather placed a covenant on part of Silvergate's land before he sold it." I opened the file later that night. He was right. The land had a clause. Any future commercial development would trigger the family's right of first refusal, allowing us to buy it back at original market value adjusted for inflation. I called Nate. "We've got them." But they weren't done yet. One morning, my barn burned. Arson. Security footage had been wiped. Then, Julie's water tested positive for illegal construction runoff, hazardous materials dumped upstream by Silvergate crews. Even the sheriff's office, tangled in Halston influence, gave us the runaround. But then, Frank pulled strings with the state attorney general's office. A woman named Agent Miranda Lopez took over. When she saw our documentation, she said, "This isn't just one corrupt HOA. It's a syndicate, and we've been watching them." I doubled security. Nate began filing lawsuits. And I made my boldest move yet. With a loan backed by Uncle Frank's connections and funds from an Austin investor, I bought the HOA's outstanding debt. That's right. I bought the debt that kept Silvergate Estates afloat. I now had the power to restructure it, or dismantle it. At the next HOA meeting, I walked in, legally entitled to a seat at the table. Veronica's face turned white. "This is a private meeting." She barked. "Not anymore," I said. "I'm your primary creditor." Residents stood up and started demanding answers. Why had dues increased? Why were contracts going to Dale's company? Veronica tried to regain control. She failed. That night, security footage showed Veronica dumping waste near the stream again. When I confronted her, she pulled a gun. "You don't get to win," she said, but I had already won. The footage went to Agent Lopez. Veronica was arrested and charged with aggravated assault, illegal dumping, and conspiracy. Dale was indicted for fraud and bribery. Mayor Reynolds resigned. The Halston Mansion? Foreclosed. Converted into a historical museum honoring Granger Ranch's role in the county's founding. Julie and we got married the next spring under the cottonwoods behind the house. Her kids now help Hank with the cattle. Eli started a sustainable architecture firm. He even helped redesign the barn. Granger Ranch was declared a historical landmark, untouchable. And every year now, we host the Granger Harvest Festival, not just to celebrate the land, but to remind everyone, this is our home, not a business opportunity, not a Pinterest backdrop. Home. This land remembers who it belongs to. And so do I.